Hello and welcome to the Hutchinson County podcast. Today is March the 6th, 2025. My guest today is Jarod McGill, candidate for Borger City Council, Place 5. Jarod, welcome to the Hutchinson County podcast.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. We'll have a little different format tonight than what we normally do. We're going to get some political questions. We'll do the subject and then a question behind the subject. So, quit saying so. First question. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what motivated you to run for the Borger City Council?
Yeah, well, I grew up mainly in big towns or big cities. My grandparents had a cattle ranch in Nebraska we spent summers at, and I love the small town atmosphere and just the feel of it, and everybody knowing everybody. And so that's why, we lived in Denver for a very long time, and it got really bad. So we moved to Phoenix, and again, that got very bad. And that's where I started with the company that I work for now, and they just happened to have a plant out here, so we moved out here. And when we were looking around to buy a house, we came across Borger, and it was top-notch schools. I mean, everybody knows that Borger's got some of the best schools in the Panhandle, so that's why we decided to stop here and found a house here and made a life, and I absolutely love this town. And that was actually part of my motivation for wanting to run, to do my part to, make basically make Borger safer, make Borger better again, get it to where people want to live here.
What specific skills or experiences do you bring to the table that make you a strong candidate for the position?
Well, I can't say for sure, but I have been told by numerous people that I am a leader type. I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said. We'll put it that way. And I don't necessarily like giving up at all. If I get something set on my mind, it's gonna get done one way or another. But in this position, if people got a problem, I would want them to come to me with that problem so I can come up with a solution.
The next subject we'll go over is how do you define community service and how have you demonstrated this in your personal or professional life?
I don't know if it's necessarily community service, but in Phoenix, we volunteered at our church every Sunday. I was a coach for the football and the soccer teams for the youth leagues at our church, and I also volunteered for security at our church. And I worked hand in hand with the Phoenix Police Department and the SWAT team on numerous occasions, mainly on active shooter situations. I have owned a couple businesses in my time, so I understand budget and I understand, how to run a business. Granted, I don't have any experience in a city council, but it's been proven that can be a good thing too, though.
Sometimes a fresh set of eyes is not a bad thing.
Exactly.
Agree with you on that. All right. What issue do you believe are the most pressing issues facing Borger right now, and how would you address them as a city council member?
Well, from what I hear, drugs is a huge problem here in Borger. Um, yeah, with any kind of boom town, or oil and gas town, we're gonna get all kinds of different people coming here to work, and with that, drugs come in, crime comes in, and drugs is a big thing with me. I'm not for it. I'm totally against it, and one of the things I was thinking about when I was running is, Borger needs. I hate to say it, but drugs are so rampant here that the police department needs a dedicated drug task force, basically. And I'm willing to work with the chief on that, and see what we can come up with. And I mean, drugs needs to stop in Borger.
Stop.
Definitely.
I actually say stop everywhere and stuff.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
ruins families, ruins
It
ruins
ru-
everything. It's just a terrible epidemic.
yeah, it ruins everything.
It does. Well, our next category would be economic development and budgeting. Now, of course, I'll tell folks these questions are hypothetical and actually kind of difficult. So, try it out tonight. For the guests tonight and other guests, I send them the questions ahead of time. They kind of be prepared, and they're still pretty good questions. But we'll go ahead and keep this rolling here on the economic development and budgeting. How do you plan to balance economic growth with preserving the character and values of Borger?
Well, again, Borger is a small town, and I think what I think, I could be wrong, but I think that a lot of people want to keep it that way. We want economic growth so we can continue, the city the way we like it, but we don't want it to explode and turn into a big city, because that again brings on a lot of crime, a lot more taxes, stuff that we just don't want here. And we have a great department called Borger Inc. Their main focus is economic development for our town. And I mean they do these car shows and this, I can't remember what it was called, but they did something at the airport this last fall that we went to, and it was amazing. It was a car show, air show, and it was amazing. And that kind of interaction with the community is what we need.
Well, I know the improvements with the aluminum dome. That's going to be a big plus from now moving forward. Actually, two podcast guests ago had Greg Harms, and they had that big Comic Con, and he said they started out just renting the dome, and it grew so much they rented the whole facility for
Oh
their
wow!
event here at the end of March. So,
Well, and I heard they're
and
having a circus at the dome here too.
a lot of events going on and some
Yeah,
other ones, but that's a deal for another time. So,
exactly.
we'll get back to tonight is about you. So, what are your thoughts on the current budget and allocation of resources for Borger's key departments? Are there areas you would prioritize differently?
I don't know if I'd necessarily prioritize them differently. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not going to get into the budget because I haven't seen the budget yet. But in my opinion, I think money probably could have been allocated to different resources. And again, like I was saying before, mainly the police department because drugs is a big problem here in Borger. So I honestly do believe that money could have been allocated more towards the police department and fighting this drug epidemic. But again, I'm not gonna, since I haven't seen the budget and I just haven't seen where stuff is going. I'm not gonna comment on that part.
And again, another hypothetical, and you hadn't had the job to have the experience to know about the budget, but people might be interested in the ideas of what you would do if you were elected. We'll go to the next question. Do you have any ideas for attracting new businesses or industries to Borger? If so, how would you implement these ideas?
It's a good question. I'm a blue collar guy myself, so I mean, the first thing that would come to my mind is, manufacturing, some type of manufacturing facility, because that would bring jobs in, that would bring extra taxes in, it would just bring more income in. But I guess the main part would be more jobs because we want the people here first to have the jobs to be able to stimulate that economy. And in my opinion, in my experience, I believe that manufacturing is one of the best ways to do that.
Okay, we'll move on to our next subject, public safety and infrastructure. Public safety is a major concern in many communities. How do you plan to ensure the safety of residents and first responders?
Well, again, I got to say, the Border Police Department, in my opinion, is doing a pretty dang good job, on what they're doing. I do still think that drugs is a huge problem here, and drugs, one problem is just going to cause another problem. And it's just a chain reaction. So I think that's probably going to be my biggest priority is to get the drugs under control here. In reality, it's like it's never going to completely stop, but I guess neither am I though either. That's like I said, that's going to be my top priority, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me because one, we don't, you know, drugs in our neighborhoods is never a good thing, but when they fall off into our schools, that's a whole nother level. And I think most parents can agree with me on that. We don't want our kids doing that because our kids are the future.
Very good. Okay, next question. What strategies do you have for improving or maintaining the infrastructure in Borger? Examples: road, water systems, parks, etc.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because they're like Huber Park, just right down the road here. My son goes down to that park all the time. He loves it there. And they have quite a few things. My favorite part about it is the 9/11 memorial, but that's another story. But City of Borger actually just posted that they have ideas, and they posted some pictures and stuff about what to do with the area over there by the bird sanctuary, since we don't have that anymore. And the community involvement in that one was absolutely amazing. People are saying, "Well, I like this one," or "I like this one." Other people were coming up with other ideas. But my biggest one is I love fishing, so I'm gonna be a little biased on that one, I guess. And somebody had said, "Well, why don't we put in a fishing pond?" That would be great. I know a bunch of the kids down here love fishing, but Borger's done quite a bit actually. With 10th Street, and then Cedar with the sidewalks, and they're doing quite a bit already with the structure, or with the infrastructure improvement. And I'm sure there's a lot more down the road that we are going to do. And
Just on a personal note, I voted for the little amphitheater
oh
myself on
yes,
that.
well that's another good one too.
That's a
Yeah,
good one. But I want to recommend that something that was not on there, something made of concrete and steel and can't be tore up. That wasn't on the list to pick, but
that is true. That is true because again, unfortunately, we do have
vandalism, worst they can do is paint it.
exactly. We do have a
So
lot of
that's just my
vandalism.
idea. Throw it out there. You get on the city council, maybe something a little durable with that idea, something that can't be tore up.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything can be tore up, but something that's
Exactly.
going to be very hard to tear up. And you can't go wrong with concrete and rebar.
Yeah, it takes a lot to damage that.
Yes, so we'll go to the next subject: education and youth engagement. How can the city collaborate with Borger ISD and other local institutions to improve educational opportunities for our youth?
Well, that's a good one too. And again, that's kind of a not so much a city issue, I guess, because the school does have their own board that they do. But again, that's something that we can work with that board on to to come up with programs. And we have this great baseball program for the kids. I mean, there's a bunch of programs already out there, but we got the youth center that they're rebuilding the pool on right now. I know kids love going to that in the summertime, especially when it's 100 degrees out here and there's nothing else to do.
Okay,
But
go ahead.
um, there are a bunch. I think we have a couple FAA programs out here. It's kind of sad that the skating rink closed because I know that was a big one for the kids. But there's a bunch of things I can think of that we can do. To interact with the kids and keep them busy. Because I mean, anybody that's a Gen X like me, they understand. When kids are bored, they tend to get in trouble. So we can come up with more programs or more facilities, or like the skate park. That's a good one too. I say skate park because I was a skater as a kid too. So that's a good one to keep them busy and keep them active.
If they can get together on when they need to turn the lights on, I seen that was a little bit of a
Yeah, I did see that.
controversy. They turn the lights off at a certain time, but that'll be another subject. Just figure I would throw that in there.
No, I'm glad you did because I did see that one too. That was an issue, which I don't really see why that is an issue because I mean, it's just lights. I mean, if the kids are not getting in trouble and not, they're actually there being active and having fun and just not destroying stuff, yeah, the lights should be on probably a little bit later, especially in, spring break and summertime, and, just allow them to be out there having fun playing.
And I think the lights would be a good for security issue. If you have the lights on, nobody's vandalizing and tearing stuff
Exactly.
up. I know I'm kind of hampering on that, but I've seen a lot on social media. Some of these public places getting vandalized, and
Oh, yeah.
is a lot of times a pretty good deterrent.
Yeah.
So we'll get to the next question. What role do you see the city council playing in supporting youth programs, recreation, and community development for young people?
Well, again, that's a good one. Like I said, I know we got after school baseball programs and stuff, and the sports is big here. I do get that. We got the skate park, we got the youth center. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do here.
It's kind of like the question asked, but a lot of that's already happened. And they have you said the youth center, and they have basketball, the
Yeah,
rock climbing wall,
yeah,
the new swimming pool and slides. That's going to, I don't know when the construction is going to be complete on that one. So that kind of question, some of that's already kind of going on
yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
Kind of hard to answer when, well, you got kind of got all these programs, got park rec in the summertime,
Yeah.
everything. So we'll go with the next subject, housing and growth. With Borger's population growth, how do you plan to address the housing needs? What kind of housing developments do you envision for the future?
Well, definitely affordable housing. I mean, it is a small town. I mean, there are quite a few jobs here, but some of them may not be as high paying. So, I mean, you can't really have developments that have $300,000-$400,000 houses here. Because people just can't afford that, especially with the interest rates the way they are. And so I mean, there's quite a few neighborhoods that have houses that just that are abandoned. Need to be revamped. And granted, some of them may just not be worth it to do that, but but again, that's a whole different ball game there. I mean, I'm not opposed to new developments and stuff, but again, they have to be affordable. They can't be. You got to look at what people are making here to make it affordable, so people aren't spending their entire paychecks on a mortgage.
We have median income housing for sure
Exactly.
and stuff because so we got the big disparity in economics in all communities, but this one with a lot of people work at the refinery and then plants and got the other end of the spectrum. So yeah, quite a diverse economic group we have here in Borger.
Exactly.
So we'll go with the next question. How would you ensure that the city continues to grow in a sustainable way, both in terms of environmental impact and livability?
Well, I'm not really the environmental type, so I can't really comment on that one too much. But yeah, I mean, I would, don't get me wrong, I would like to see Borger grow, but I think a lot of people are with me when I say, this is a semi small town, and a lot of us want to keep it that way.
It,
And
go ahead, yeah.
no, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're correct on that. Kind of want to see a smaller town. Increase in population means an increase in crime and
Exactly.
other stuff. I'm actually happy with the size of the community, like you also. Kind of a different question. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next subject, communication and transparency. How do you plan to improve communication between the city council and the community? What strategies will you use to make residents' voices are heard to make sure?
Well, again, I mean, it's the people that would elect me. It's not the council, so I would speak for the people. I mean, they're gonna have my Facebook, an email. I'll even put out my phone number. So if they don't want to do any of that, they can call me. Voice their concerns. Again, like I said, I have no problem talking. I have no problem arguing, and I have absolutely no problem, confronting about anything. because that's the job, and that's what I was going to be voted in to do.
Okay, the next question: how do you see your role in promoting transparency in city government?
Well, I mean that's your taxpayer dollars, so I mean transparency should be a given. You know, it's not a well they don't need to know about this or we can do this or we can do that. No, I mean that's your taxpayer money, so that should be there should be 100% transparency there on what your taxes are paying for.
Well, I figure they're pretty transparent. All their meetings are on Facebook Live on
Yeah.
the city website, so that's kind of something you can't change. They're already very transparent until if they do go to executive session. I don't watch the meetings, so I don't know if they do that. I know school boards do that, so probably the only
Sometimes,
part that is not executive session would be Facebook Live, would be the executive session.
yeah.
So we'll go ahead and go to the subject number 8: quality of life and community engagement. How would you enhance the quality of life for Borger residents of Borger? What programs or services would you support or create?
Well, again, I actually really like the
Let me get.
I really like the Main Street. Can you?
Okay, we got somebody at the door. We'll take a short timeout here. We're still going on the questions, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. We got may have some DoorDash or he ordered pizza and didn't tell me about it, and they're driving off, so that worked out. So here we're doing Hutchinson County podcast with our guest Jarod McGill, candidate for Borger City Council, place 5. So he went outside, so we'll see what's up. Hadn't had a podcast where somebody came beating on the door right here, and we're in his living room. We're live on location at Jared's house here in the living room. We're almost done with these questions. We got about 4 more subjects with a couple of questions each, and see how it goes. There, he's coming back in. They'll get back on the podcast here. Amazon. Everybody knows about that. Amazon, all hours of the day. So here, welcome Jared back to the podcast.
Hey, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. It kind of, somebody knock on the door. That's unexpected. I've
Yeah,
never
right.
had that. So we'll pick up where we left off with the quality of life and community engagement. How would you enhance quality of life for residents in Borger? What programs or services would you support or create?
Well, again, I mean, I support our police officers, firefighters, paramedics, all of them. 100%. I think they're doing a great job. But again, I think with lower crime, the quality of life would be a lot better. In my opinion. I love all the Main Street. We got Christmas on Main Street. We got the cruise on Main Street. I think all of that stuff is, amazing to bring the community together. I've been to quite a few of them. There's a lot of people that show up and a lot of people that have fun with them. So I couldn't really tell you off the top of my head, but I think, in my opinion, a lot of stuff like that. Maybe doing. I know somebody had mentioned on Facebook, with Huber Park, doing like a Christmas light walkthrough and, just maybe do something like that with Huber Park and, maybe do something like a haunted house on Halloween in Huber Park, or something like that. Just, get people coming over there and checking it out and just having fun with it.
Okay, how do you plan to engage with different community groups, including minority or underrepresented let me try that again. Underrepresented populations.
Well, again, my phone and email is always going to be open, and I want to hear concerns. I want to hear what people don't like, so that way we can try and fix it. And again, I don't know how the city council is now with it. I'm sure they're pretty good with it. But again, that's just me. That's just how I would be. I want to hear these problems, and I want to, work with them to find solutions on them.
Okay, our next subject we'll jump to environment and sustainability. What steps would you take to make Borger a more suitable and environmentally friendly city?
Well, again, I'm not big on the environmental part. Um, so I probably couldn't really comment on that one.
Okay. How would you address the issues like water conservation, waste management, and green energy options?
Well,
It's kind of the same question as before, so we'll
yeah,
go ahead and move on that
okay.
and everything. I mean, you talk about maybe Huber Park. We can put some of them big wind chargers in Huber Park and stuff like
Oh,
that.
put
You know,
some
I'm just
solar panels on the
solar panels on the
steel,
pool.
yeah, on the steel cover that you were just talking about.
Actually, I think put the solar panels over the top of the sewer plant. That would be kind of, you don't have to see the sewer plant.
Oh, there you
And
go. That's
see,
a good
kind
one.
of a win-win. Everything. You can't do anything about the odor, but
That is true.
visually, there you go.
Yeah.
There's your green energy idea.
There's some green energy
We're just
there.
making some stuff up here as we go. So, okay.
Hey, it's ideas. That's what we want.
Ideas for sure. Collaboration and decision making. How do you approach working with colleagues who may have different viewpoints or priorities other than yours?
Well, again, I mean, nobody's ever right 100%. So that's where discussions come in. You got to discuss stuff, find a solution that works for everybody.
All right. Can you give us an example of a time you had to make a difficult decision that affected your community? How did you handle that? Now, we could change that to maybe your personal life, make a decision. How did you handle that? Because you have obviously not been on the city council, so we can make that question kind of personal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably really wouldn't say it's a hard decision. I mean, I don't buckle under pressure if that's what you're asking. So, I mean, I actually like pressure. It's kind of fun.
So maybe if your wife's watching this podcast, maybe the decision to get married, that could be
That was actually
get you.
that was
You were
actually
thinking that.
the best decision of my life.
Best decision.
The best decision. Yeah.
How'd you handle
my
that?
wife
You did
is-
it and moved on with it and everything.
Yeah, my wife is one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yep. A lot of good men. That's a good woman behind them. I agree with you on that.
Exactly.
So the last subject of the night, long-term vision. Where did you see Borger in the next 5 or 10 years? What steps would you take to help the city reach that vision? And what legacy would you like to leave as a member of the Borger City Council?
Well, again, my vision for Borger is to, definitely stimulate economic growth, but not become a major metropolitan area. Nobody here wants that. Some people may, but I think the majority of people don't want that. They want to keep a small town. And I don't think it's so much of a legacy I want to leave on anything. I mean, I would like to. I definitely want to make Borger safer. That's my biggest priority. I don't think it's a legacy. I think it's just my duty to, if I get elected, God put me in that position, and I need to work for God on that.
Just know you did your duty and gave your public service, and you made a difference.
Exactly.
Well, Jared, that's all the questions I have for tonight. So that's going to be a wrap on this week's episode. Be sure to check out Hutchinson County Podcast on Facebook and now on YouTube, and the High Plains Observer Facebook page and highplainsobserver.com. So for myself and Jared, we are out of here.